Welcome, everybody, to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have never seen a hot take with us before, well, it's where a few friends like to get in a basement. We like to give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, movie, or a game. Today, it's going to be a game, and that game is Dying Light the Beast. Here to discuss with me, as always, the triple instinct himself. Chris Trio.
Gooch, the hero of Hamas. Or no, not Hamas. Jesus Christ. What? Haran. Haran. The hero of Haran. So, Kyle Crane, of course, the hero of Haran from the first game. Might have been a bit more appropriate. Not hero of the other thing I said.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know if it bears repeating.
Yeah.
Chris Trio.
How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to sit down and chat a little bit about the Beast.
Fourth podcast where one of us has reviewed a game in a row, and I think this is the first time we've ever done such a spree as such.
Yeah.
But
it's funny. I feel like this year we've been especially covering the field.
Diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Are we a diverse?
Diverse in thought.
Opinion.
Yeah,
we do
for sure.
We do.
We're two white guys. But
I feel like if you like somebody told us, I'm like, you and Trio really don't agree all that often. I'm like, really?
Yeah, no, it's
but then
I
I'm like, yeah, I think we disagree, but I
think there's a healthy amount of disagreement in our, and that just comes from our, of course, how we form our opinions and how we feel on certain things. But I think we have a healthy balance because I feel like there's it's like, a 50-50 shot when we come on here and both like things
on every podcast.
Yeah,
like,
but maybe we are.
And
that's what we're here for, the fight.
One person's on the other end of the pond here.
Yeah, even like Tron Ares was one where I felt like we were, we're different, but like that.
But
I still think
at the same time, I'm
well.
like, I don't think you were that negative on it.
Sure, I mean,
sure you didn't like it, but it's not like you were like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Right. I wasn't at the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Sure.
But anyway, I'm excited to hear about the Beast. I guess this is a Dying Light 2.5 as I'm just concurring from the title. Kyle Crane being back. I know he's the protagonist from only the first game.
Correct.
So yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, so
Techland,
I think,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think 2.5 is definitely a great way to, explain it. This was originally going to be the final DLC for Dying Light 2. And it was included for the folks who purchased the season pass, of which I did not. Because, this was originally going to be the final DLC, but they were like, we feel like there's a lot here. We want to make it into its own standalone. It was sick. I think it might have actually been $50.
The game.
Yeah. So that kind of lines up there. But yeah, man, we're back with Kyle Crane. Like you said, he was the protagonist of the first game. I feel like he was a bit more of a blank slate in the first game. I never really found him to be like, this character that I'm like, I need to get back to Kyle Crane. He is the dying light of it.
Sort of like Corvo Atano.
Yeah,
because I feel like in the first Dishonored, he's he has some background.
I would agree.
And there's an allusion to a lot of things with Corvo and his relationships with like the Caldwins and stuff like that. But and then in 2, I feel like it's like, okay, he's a character now.
Definitely.
So is that kind of the similar situation with the Beast? With
I would
Kyle?
say he's actually more of a character than Corvo from Dishonored 1 and how much he speaks and like he is interacting with folks in the game. But he definitely wasn't like the face of the game for me. He was kind of the conduit through which I was experiencing the game and the story. But, we wrap back around to him in this. He's been captured by this guy called the Baron. He's one of the only folks that are immune to this zombie virus. So he is actually infected with the virus.
That was like a plot beat from the first one.
It was actually from like the DLC. So there was a Dying Light. I can't remember what it was called. Anyways, it was about you finding this cult in the outskirts of Haran that was like worshipping this woman who ended up being she was the cult leader, but she ended up being a person who was immune. Like when you finally meet her, she's like all fucked up and zombie. Like that was it. Thank you. So this is very much a direct sequel to that. But we find Kyle. He's been captured by this guy called the Baron, who is very much an 80s movie villain, and I think the best way. Okay. He's very like theatrical. He's got like a very specific outfit on. He has a cadence to him that is like very character actor-y, which I actually appreciate. I think like the entire game has a real kind of like 80s action flick movie feel to it, especially when it comes to the story. And I kind of like that it's taking itself not unseriously, but a little bit less seriously. I think it works for the game. I do think that contrasts very well, though, with the actual gameplay because, looking back, I enjoyed Dying Light 2, and I think I mentioned this when we were talking about it in Discord. But there are definitely issues with it. I definitely think the horror aspect was severely lacking in that game, and I think the Beast...
In Dying Light 2.
Correct.
Okay.
And in the Beast, I think they really lean back into it. Night feels scary as shit, and you have the volatiles running around who are the really bad zombie infected at night. You have your pulse, which is like this kind of vision thing that it radiates out, and you see them as like red skeletons. Like it's almost like a detective vision type thing from Arkham. And that's how you can kind of keep on. You don't want to have a light on because they can see that if you're shining it at them. There's a lot more stealth aspects when you're going in and clearing out places. So there will be, and this was in the second game, there are these dark areas. So it'll be like a broken down pharmacy that you have to go into, and it's filled with infected. And you can kind of go balls to the wall if you want and try to take them all out, but it's definitely more recommended to take it at more of a snail's pace and go a little bit sneaky. You can sneak around, stealth kill all the zombies for the most part. There are higher level zombies that you can't do that to.
So a few questions.
Yeah.
So from the other games, is the gameplay really similar? Like in terms of what you just explained, this is kind of like the follow through and the flow of the other games.
Definitely. I mean, the parkour is still the main element, which I find the most appealing for me.
Right.
Just being able to, explore these environments, go across these rooftops. It's very much a smaller map, which I think is, to its credit, and I think it works. There's a little kind of urban city area, village area that reminds me almost of like a weird Transylvanian village or something. Like a big castle is up on
Resident Evil Village?
To a degree. Yeah. It's like almost Mediterranean too, like the rooftops and things like that, like shingles and stuff on the roofs. A little Assassin's Creed-y inspired in a weird way. So it's an interesting mixture. And even where the Baron is, it's like a big castle sitting on top of this mountaintop. It literally looks like Count Dracula's like kind of castle to a degree.
You made a point before I said something to you, and I totally forget what it was. It was about the gameplay, but
the horror elements and like it getting back to it.
Yeah. Was 2 kind of more streamlined, unscary,
a little more thrillery action. I never felt like I was like really afraid to go out at night, and you really had to kind of plan your moves. Whereas in this, I felt that like if you're running around at night, and also when you're exploring at night, your XP is doubled. So that's another thing. Everything you do in this game gives you XP. You kill a zombie, it gives you 10 XP. You complete a quest, gives you XP, and that's how you level up. And there's a small skill tree that you increase. Your athletics, your parkour stuff, and your fighting. But then there's also a fourth tree, which is the titular beast. So there's basically a God of War kind of rampage meter in this, where you can you build up enough energy, you double click or you click both sticks in, and it makes you very powerful, and you are basically an incredibly powerful infected zombie who can then destroy everyone around you. It runs out after a certain while, but you can upgrade that after every so often. And that adds a nice little layer to the game. I don't think, it's anything wild and game changing, but it's a nice little addition. I like this idea that he is an infected that is, immune to the disease, and the Baron is basically studying him to try and create the perfect soldier. But yeah, I think the gameplay is king in this. It feels so good to hit a zombie. Like, we always go back to freaking Skyrim and all that stuff for very floaty melee mechanics, especially in a first-person game. But this feels nice and weighty.
Okay.
And
so are the weapons heavier, or do you feel like the weapon, like what's heavier about it?
It just feels like it's tactile. When you hit something, you feel like you're hitting it, and when you miss it, it feels like you should have missed it. It doesn't feel like you're hitting something and floating over it. You kind of have to use your movement too. So like as you're going into swing, you kind of want to move towards the person, and then you give a good one. There's heavy weapons, there's one-handed weapons. And another big thing that they brought back in this game, which I think a lot of this was reintroduced into Dying Light with subsequent updates, was firearms. So there were no guns in the second game.
Yeah.
The idea, and I kind of like the idea in theory that they were going for. It was like a new Middle Ages, like the guns had to be gotten rid of for some reason. The GRE came in and they were causing too much trouble, so they confiscated everyone's weapons. So now no one has any weapons. But they brought them back in this, and I think that was for the best move.
Yeah. Melee only games. I know we've talked about it with like Callisto, and like there's a big melee focus in the beginning of that, and you get a few guns, right? It's not like it's all melee focused, but like there is something about that melee that is kind of like integral to the flow,
especially for a
and
zombie.
just to I'm trying to imagine like if you eliminate the guns, and I'm trying to remember if there was like an achievement for doing like a melee only run. There may have been, but I don't know how I'd feel about that. That is definitely like a decision, right?
Well, and I think for zombies, it's not as integral. Like it's more. I really didn't use the weapons, the guns that much on zombies because one, if you shoot, you attract more zombies. You attract like the runners, and that causes more issues. And you have to obviously shoot them in the head to kill them quickly. And when they're coming at you and you're trying to take aim, it's fucking hard. So I did find myself mostly using melee weapons when it came to the zombies. But when you get to the human enemies and they all have like ARs and stuff like that, you do need to start using your guns. And I will give it to them. The FPS in this is very well done. And I love how much freedom of movement you have on top of having that, FPS element that you just, you don't see that in like a Call of Duty or anything like that. Anything is climbable for the most part. And I think that is really the extra layer that kind of differentiates this game. And I know they kind of did that I guess this was the team that did Dead Rising, or not Dead Rising. What was the other one?
Dead Island.
And then I guess they wanted them to take it into a more kind of hokey direction, and then they didn't want to do that, so that's why they created Techland.
Dead Island switched tone so hard.
It really did.
Did that one game with the trailer of the dude running in like California? That game came out.
Yeah,
right?
that did. Yeah, that actually ended up I think being published by Xbox and stuff. It's Dead Island.
Riptide?
I think that's no. I think that's like a DLC. Hold on, Dead.
Yeah, it's funny because that first one came out, and I remember that trailer. That trailer of the girl like reverse falling out of the window.
Right.
So iconic, and it was so serious. And then the game ended up being tonally different. And I remember there was the collector's edition with the bust, like literal bust of like a zombie girl.
Yeah, I remember that just going through a ton of different like development hell too. I'm pretty sure they restarted like the latest one. I'm still trying to find what Dead Island 2. Oh yeah, I guess it was just Dead Island 2.
It must have been Dead Island.
Yeah, in
when
2023.
It come out? 2023.
Yeah, it's 2 years old.
Oh my
and I've
God.
heard that's like relatively fine for how much shit it went through.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit more not linear, but less explorable and less like quest heavy and less RPG heavy, because that is a major element of this game. I think the quests are very interesting for the most part. There's not a ton, so I think they had enough time to really kind of invest in all of them and make them somewhat interesting. But that being said, I can't really think of any one major that comes to my mind where I'm like, that one was amazing. But I enjoyed them a lot, and they kept me going and kept me exploring throughout the game. Like I said, the map's relatively small, but I actually think that works to the game's advantage. You do have driving in this again as well, which I think, honestly, some of the better driving mechanics I've experienced in a while, especially being like a first-person game. You can use a third-person view though when you're driving.
Can you shoot out of the car, melee out of the car, or are you just dozing in?
I think you're just dozing zombies. I've never really tried, but you might be able to shoot now that I'm thinking about it. But I never really fucked with it because most of the time you were using it to get away. You don't really want to drive at night because all the volatiles are around.
Makes noise,
and they'll just attract to you, and they will destroy your car relatively quickly. But yeah, I think the story is fun. Kyle.
That's what I was just gonna ask. What's the title about?
So you are hunting the beast, but you are also kind of the beast. It's kind of a double entendre. So. You are the Baron's like number one experiment. He's been experimenting on all of these different, infected folks who are also immune. But Kyle was the first that he found that was like had this variance in him and how much he could react to the strain. So he's been experimenting on him. You end up breaking out at the beginning of the game, and the entire game focuses around you having to build up your strength to take down the Baron because you've been so fucked up this whole time. You go around and find these things called chimeras, which are just basically special infected. And you have to extract a sample from them of some kind. That one is a blood sample and one is a kind of upgrade that you inject into yourself. And, the game progresses. You meet some different folks in the town. There's people living in like the mayor's or the downtown area that are some survivors. There are a few others out in the world. There's a group of infected who escaped the Baron who are immune, but they have to take this special mushroom to basically fight off the zombie plague. Because after a while, if you're not completely immune like a Kyle, it will take you. And even back when Dying Light in the first one, they had this thing called antizin, which would stave off the effects, and as long as you had antizin, you wouldn't change. But by this time in the story, I believe it's like 30 years later. It's like a thing of the past. No one.
Okay.
Yeah, antizins hasn't been seen in like that long.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. I think Dying Light 2 is set like 40 or 30 years after the first one, because the idea is it's spread out.
So is
through
Kyle
Haran.
Crane like fucking old?
He is, but I think the idea he's kind of I think the infection has stopped his aging to a degree. Because he does look pretty young still, and I need to look into what exactly the time frame is.
Yeah,
and I did think another interesting kind of change in this is the cutscenes are third person, which in the first game they were not.
Yeah, I remember seeing Dying Light 2, and like I remember Rosario Dawson's in that game.
Yeah,
she's
and
talking to you, and it's in first person.
It's all first person. I think that does work to the benefit of the game, especially in making me care about Kyle a little bit more and see him more as a character and not just me playing the game.
Right.
Because again, I do think that was more of the objective of the first game, to kind of be like, it's you or Kyle, but Kyle isn't really like a super different person. He's a member of the GRE, and he's an agent sent in there to basically get this information out.
I guess you're kind of answering my question a little bit. Like, did you care about Kyle? Like, did you miss him in the DL or in 2, like him not coming back? Was it like welcomed? Like, oh yeah, like Kyle Crane's back. This is cool. Like, what was?
I think it was just a pointer to be like, hey, we're kind of getting back to basics here. I think that was kind of more of the idea with them, because I don't know, maybe the Dying Light 2 community in general was craving for Kyle Crane to come back. I don't think like the changing of characters was an issue in the second game. You play as this guy Aiden, who was also kind of experimented upon, like with his sister, who I believe was another immune person, and you are trying to find your sister after a while, and you're one of these people called a pilgrim that are the only people that travel throughout the country and deliver things. But spoilers, you do see Aiden again in this, which I found surprising. So they do kind of link it all back in by the end, and Aiden is the beast. You don't realize this, but you find him by the end, and he's kind of like
Beast is you.
He's it's the other you. Yeah, he's kind of rabid and crazy
Yeah.
by the beginning. You can't really see him. You don't get a good look at him, but by the end, you kind of sedate him, and the infected that you find, that community find a way to kind of bring him back a little bit, like bring his mind back, so he's not just a crazy like rabid beast anymore.
Right.
And you talk to him and find out that he actually. Well, the reason he got caught was because he was coming to find Kyle and save him with this other guy, this other pilgrim.
This is like classic. Like, we went away with our protagonists, and now our 2 protagonists are coming
back together. Yeah, no, and I found it pretty satisfying. So like, Aiden was going with this other pilgrim who was a member of that same organization that Aiden is, but that also knew Kyle, and he's like, we need to go save Kyle, but then they end up getting caught in the crossfire. And then you end up coming back and saving him. The other pilgrim does die by the end, though. I can't remember his name, but he's Kyle's like good friend. He gets shot by the Baron. Baron's just a classic, like really bad guy, which is fine.
Is he fat?
No, he's like a thin British man. That's not the correct British accent. It's more like I can't even think. It's more slick than that.
I don't know the differences between British accents. People are like, oh, it's like a cock. I'm like, I don't know what a Cockney accent.
I was gonna say I wouldn't know how to describe it, but like if you obviously you can obviously hear
maybe
the
if you
difference
put them next to each other
with their descriptors.
You said this was a more posh British accent, and
Yeah.
this is more of your Manchester kind of.
I really wouldn't know.
I don't fucking know.
No, he seems like a more hybrid society man. He's just the worst. He's like killing whoever he wants, and everyone's listening to him. And by the end, you actually find out. So you're killing. The goal is to go back and kill him, which you end up getting caught, and you find out that this woman that you've been working with from the beginning was actually working with the Baron, and this was all an experiment to make you stronger, so that he could pull DNA out of you for his new like super soldier serum type thing, or his next evolution in humanity. He wants to basically use the virus to evolve humanity. And by the end, the woman ends up kind of being a doubled up, like a triple agent. She helps you, and she's like, the Baron has my father, and like I just had to do this to get him out. But he's dead by now. I can't remember exactly what happens with that plot line. The Baron ends up injecting himself, and you have, one big final boss battle, which I found fine. I think the boss battles in general in this were kind of okay. You're just kind of swinging at this thing and dodging it. It's these big monsters. Some of them are smaller and a bit more like, there's almost like a Wendigo looking one that like jumps from point to point and like spits at you. So there's some variety for sure. But yeah, I mean, dude, overall, I think this is probably one of the bigger surprises for me this year. I just was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did, considering, again...
Was there a big lead up to it?
I mean, they were talking about it for sure, and they were definitely like letting people know, especially the community.
I feel like
interested.
maybe we heard about it like at a Game Awards
for
or
sure.
something
I mean,
last
I think
year.
it definitely popped up in some fashion.
Yeah, it was at some E3 type event, whether it was Summer Game Fest or Gamescom or Game Awards. I think it was at a Jeff Keighley thing when it was first announced.
And I remember Dustin talking about it on Sacred Symbols. Like there was like not a play test, but they had people come and play it at one of those events somewhat recently.
Yeah, I think they said they played it at Summer Game Fest.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, The Beast is fantastic. I would recommend it to anyone who especially likes Dying Light or Dying Light 2. I think this kind of captures everything that Dying Light 2 kind of missed. But again, I did hear that Dying Light 2 went back and added in a lot of this stuff in the way of like making nights a bit more scary, adding back in guns.
Oh, really?
And things of that sort. So, yeah.
Are they working towards a 3?
They definitely set up a 3.
Okay.
For sure. So
Yeah.
by the end you find out you kill a Baron and you're standing like on his like on the mountain like outside of his castle. You like throw him off the cliff and impale him. It's a fun action scene. Like you jump off with a big spike and just like ah. Anyways, after he dies, this helicopter pulls up and it's like the GRE, who's the organization from the first game that you work for that ends up being a shitty government, you know, almost like an umbrella type organization. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, thanks, Kyle. He was one of ours. Well, he used to be, and we appreciate you putting him down. Even when you're not working for us, you're still doing your job great. There's something to that effect. And they're like, all right, you've earned some time off. Enjoy your freedom. We'll be in contact. And they fly off. And then he's like, this shit isn't over. So I think the idea is him and Aiden.
It ain't over.
Yeah, they're going to go after the GRE in some fashion, would be my guess for the next game. If they're going to do it, which I hope they do. Because I think this proved that they still got the stuff. I know Dying Light 2 had some technical issues at the beginning, too. I remember that being a bit of a crutch.
What engine is this in?
You know, Gooch? I don't know. Let's see here.
The Unreal Engine 5 fatigue seems to be really real. Especially with Halo Campaign Evolved being in that engine. I think like everyone kind of like...
They use the C engine, a proprietary Techland engine. Interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, looks beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say,
the motion capture and everything.
PS5 Pro?
Yeah. Okay. They don't have a pro mode, though, I don't think, funnily enough.
I'm not surprised. For a game like that, I don't know.
Yeah, to a degree. I would hope. Yeah, I don't know. You're right. I was a little bit surprised, to be honest.
Maybe that's like in a patch later down the line.
Maybe. But I know what you're saying with the Unreal 5 fatigue, and I'm not technically minded enough to be like, is it the engine or is the people using the engine? Because we do have like, I don't know if it's a lot. I think various examples of Unreal Engine 5 games running fine. But I don't know if it's up to these people not optimizing or it is a shitty engine. But I would like to see people use more of their proprietary stuff. I'm sad to see CD is going to Unreal 5, especially. After like,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Especially after like, I feel like fixing up. Like,
think about what happened to Cyberpunk. I mean,
no, it's true.
Like, I again, it's hard to speak from like a technical aspect when I really don't know what I'm talking about. But I mean, what's the culprit there than their own engine?
No, but
it's just like maybe Cyberpunk was just too big for what their engine was.
Well, especially at the beginning. But I guess my only rebuttal to that as a layman to them would be
I guess
like,
they did fix it.
It feels so good now. Like, I feel like they seem to have really mastered it and really kind of nailed it down. So I don't know.
All their future projects in on? Yeah, they did.
They did that Unreal 5 tech demo for The Witcher.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know, man. I think like you're a shareholder or you're some C-suite exec and you're in a meeting and you go, you know, you're planning out your next games and you make like a corporate decision to be like, we're going to use Unreal 5 because we can't have Cyberpunk happening again.
And it's also like, I think the big thing, and we've talked about this before, I think, is there is just this apparatus that comes along with Unreal 5. You have support. You have a thing that you can call, whereas like this C engine, Techland, something goes wrong with it.
It's them.
It's them. They just have to figure it out. So I get it to that degree, but again, you've already put so much time into it. You've already updated it so much, especially with Cyberpunk specifically. Why make that change? I feel like that would only then cause more issues.
Because I mean, isn't this the problem that like Fallout and Bethesda are in with like the creation engine? It being this like it was built, you know, for Skyrim.
No, for sure.
And it's old and like it's like it feels old, and you feel that in Fallout 76 and you know. Didn't they just make a new game with it? Oblivion. It even feels
that's not well. I mean, that's the old creation engine laying underneath it,
right? But you can kind of see the Fallout like 4 in that game.
Oh, definitely.
Even though it has a new skin on it, you know.
And even like the creation engine is what they've obviously there's new versions of it that they've created and updated throughout the years. So it's not the same creation engine they've been using forever. It's in the way of like, I mean, I don't know if it's like still the base of it in there, but I would assume that like after a while, and I don't know how updates work with an engine, it becomes something not totally transformed, but just completely updated. So, I mean, they used it for Starfield, which obviously people have their problems with, and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's what I was.
I
for.
think that definitely
Starfield feels like it doesn't feel like it like what it needed to for me.
Sure. No, yeah.
I'm excited to eventually return to that game.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anything else, Gooch? Any other questions for me?
No, that about does it. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad the price point was there for you. You know, how long?
You know, I didn't check. My guess would be 20 to 25 hours.
That's good.
No, it's a solid little chunk, especially for like a 2.5. I think for a $50 price tag, and there's still probably more I could go back to and do in there right now. Honestly, there's some quests, there's some areas of the map that I didn't explore. It's, a Fog of War type thing where you explore and it reveals as you go. So, Jesus, excuse me. Yeah, I think I'll probably pop back into it eventually, and I'm excited for Dying Light 3.
Yeah.
Whenever that does come, if it does come.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
And keep using C-Engine, genuinely, because I think this is the best looking game that they've done by far. The lip matching is fantastic. The faces look great. If they're using motion capture, I don't know if they are. It looks awesome. Really good.
Probably to some extent.
Also, main character, voice of Batman and Ezio Auditore da Firenze.
Roger Craig Smith.
Yeah.
You don't like him.
I don't like him I don't like him as Batman. I love him.
Do you remember at our Fan Expo panel?
Yeah.
Like he's up there. You're
I can tell. No, I don't love his Batman sounds a little too Solid Snake. I don't know to me, but I love his Ezio, and I think he works great in this. I think he's fantastic in this.
Yeah, I feel like he's not in a lot of stuff I play anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like he's Sonic too, or was. I don't know if he still is. Yeah, I feel like he was an actor. I feel like who was in like everything I played, and then all of a sudden he was not.
Right. Especially in that era. No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, with Ezio.
Yeah. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching with us live on twitch.tv/Delco Nerd Network. We really do appreciate your time. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are found. Just search Delco Nerd Network on your service of choice. We got a Facebook page, a Discord channel, all that good stuff will be linked down below. You can find all this information on our website, delconerdnetwork.com. You can even email us your comments, questions, or concerns to delconnerds@gmail.com. We'd be happy to get back to you. But for Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay nerdy. We will see you next time.